Worldwide markets this week. What's a Bitcoin Treasury company and why do they exist? US CPI, China house prices. Man, it's 3 years of negative numbers. PGMs holding on while I was on holiday, and copper tariffs. I'm Simon Brown. This is Worldwide Markets, episode 639 for 16 July. I'm recording this Tuesday afternoon. Worldwide Markets, powered by Standard Bank Global Markets and Shift, the global money app, your go-to for travel, shopping, payments, and investments in the palm of your hand, all at the cheapest forex rates. Thanks to Standard Bank, thanks to Shift for sponsoring the show. Let's kick off with US inflation that came out a little under an hour ago since I'm recording this. And the market was expecting it to tick higher. This here is the core inflation rate. It ticked up to 2.9%. Normal inflation picked up from 2.5 to 2.7. This is what Jerome Powell is worried about. Inflation hasn't yet got back to their 2% target. It is starting to move higher, and that makes him nervous about cutting rates. All of the, he should be cutting, he's an anti-Trumper and all of that. The short answer is, in this environment, you be careful. You want to get to your 2%. You're not yet there. So I don't think there's any rush for Jerome Powell to cut rates. I need to check my calendar a second. We've got a rates late July. 30th is another FOMC, and then our own local rates the day after. The short answer, we're not going to see rate cutting happening at that point. I want to move on to some other data which I've been tracking, which is China's the house price index. This quite simply is, well, how's it been doing? Have we been seeing house prices go up or house prices go down? Spoiler alert, it has been going down. 5 years of data. If we go back, the first negative number was May 2022. There was a green number in May of 2023, and it was at its worst in October 24, where it fell 5.9%. These are year-on-year numbers, and we've got 3 years of negative numbers. We haven't seen, last time we had any negative numbers was back in 2015. This is what is worrying China. Yes, they're trying to push for consumption. That certainly is their big push at this point in time. But we know about, remember, what was it, Evergrande and all the other housing companies that were imploding. Remember, Chinese citizens, a lot of their wealth is in a apartment that they have bought. Apartment that they have bought, put deposits on, in some cases paid for, but don't yet have. And that has been the challenge. And that is absolutely the problem that we're seeing here, is that there's been lots of apartments, but the values aren't there. And that makes Chinese citizens unhappy, as it would anyone. And let's be clear, if you live in Joburg and you've bought a house at any point in the last, I don't know how long, you're not massively happy with the situation and the valuation of your house. It is how do we say politely? It is messy. It is not lacquer when it goes down. For most people, the world over. For most people, the world over, your apartment or your property is the biggest asset until you get to quite old, and then you have a whole bunch of other assets. We've got an event coming up this Monday. It is 21 July. I know it's weird. It's on a Monday. It's a power hour. We usually do them Thursdays, but venue availability. And what we're looking at, investment and trading lessons from me, Simon Brown. 3 decades in the market plus 3 decades. What have I learned? What are the key lessons and takeaways? You can book at justonelap.com/events. And as I say, the event is going to be Monday, 5:30. You can attend in person. You can also catch the webcast. You can catch the video thereafter. justonelap.com/events. More information and booking. So just a weirdie that popped up across my screens. Elon Musk's SpaceX has agreed, he owns kind of SpaceX, to invest $2 billion into Elon Musk's XAI. He owns a lot of that too. Remember, XAI is his AI business. It's Grok, essentially, and it just recently brought Twitter, or X as the case would be. It's kind of, I suppose, it's Elon shuffling deck chairs. Of course, there are investors here. Elon's not the only investor in any of these. There are other investors, but at this point in time, it's very much a case of, well, yes, some folks might be, thinking it seems a little bit weird. But you know what? If the shareholders are approving, and I'm imagining he needs shareholder approval, then, well, good to go. I want to check in on PGMs. They were having a great time before I headed off to the beach. And let's see how they are doing. I don't know why it looks all ugly like that. There we go. So platinum had broken, palladium had broken higher, and platinum is looking good. I mean, it's up at 1,400. It's a little bit off the highs, but we are talking 1,400 is back where it was around about 2014. So looking really good for platinum. We're getting the same on palladium, although palladium, of course, not quite... there we go. Palladium not quite as robust in terms of its highs, but palladium is sort of back to where it was in 2023 on the way down. So nice, but not that spectacularly nice. This metal has been above 3,000, but broken that resistance at around about the 1230, currently trading at 1244 on the nose, and looking like it might, we'll see, it's testing back on that break. The platinum story is quite simple. Platinum is saying, we've been hearing from the Platinum Council for a while around platinum deficits. They are starting to hurt, and that's what's pushing that price higher. Palladium, there was a lot of buying at the time of the Russian invasion. Into Ukraine, you can see palladium spiked up to 3,400. There was a lot of buying and stockpiling at that point. Reports are that the stockpiles are starting to run out, and the price is still well below where it was back then. But this is certainly positive for both of the white metals. Rhodium also apparently moving into some deficit as well. So it does look like that break. And to be clear, at the time, I'm like, you know what? We've seen breaks before. Will it hold? Well, it has held this time. And stocks like Sibanye, Stillwater, Volterra, Implats, all the PGM miners having a great day in the sun. Another stock having a great day in the sun is Nvidia. They became the first $4 trillion company. Again, another nice break there. That happened a couple of weeks ago, trading up at 164. And as I said, a 4 trillion company. It was the first to 3 trillion. It's the first to 4 trillion. We'll see how that continues to go. I hold Nvidia. I'm comfortable holding it. Jensen Wang is talking all the talk. At the moment, it's AI, but autonomous vehicles is going to be a big part of their business. Reports that Trump is lifting some of the restrictions on Nvidia chips to America. Not the big fancy ones, the 20s, they're not as powerful, but at this point, they're not going into the US. So for them to start getting into the US, that is then important. And then copper. So copper is an interesting one in the sense that it's hugely important. We call it Dr. Copper. There's lots of excitement around it. Yet what we're seeing with it is it's got a nice support building. And what Trump has now done last week with all the tariff excitement is he went off and said, hey, we want to add a 50% tariff onto copper being imported. The US imports 45% of its copper. There isn't enough domestic production. The problem is, and I was chatting with Jimmy Moyaha early on Tuesday morning on our Insider Exchange podcast, talking around, does a 50% tariff suddenly mean that copper production in the US booms? And there are a couple of ways that would happen. One is just good old-fashioned greenfields production. Two is mothballing mines on care and maintenance that aren't profitable at current points. And the answer is, I don't think so. Because, firstly, Trump folds all the time, so you don't believe the 50% is going to stay. Secondly, in 3.5 years, there's a new president. Does it stay in place, even if Trump held his steady, and he has no record of doing that? But there are other ways of incentivizing it, right? Say to copper producers, okay, if you spend any money on getting a mine out of care and maintenance or a greenfield, it's tax deductible, 100% tax deductible. That's a nice and easy one. What about saying, if you produce anything above current levels, tax breaks, that sort of thing? It has to go through Congress, but it means it's formulated, it's in place. It means that Trump just can't change his mind and pull it away. So, I mean, what he's got there is an absolute mess. I don't think it's going to do what he's hoping it will. But, let's say, I mean, it might. But at this point in time, I don't think it's going to particularly excite the copper miners in America and suddenly get them all saying, yeah, let's go and produce some extra production. A quick update on gold. It remains trading more or less within its trading zone. Let me expand that and make it bigger. It bumps up, it bumps down. It's currently 33.42 and some change on the spot market. But this is gold. Any pullback could take it to 3,000. But gold is being a little bit boring at this point in time. Don't mind me. I'm happy. I hold it, as do many of you. And oil's gotten interesting. Back into that sort of resistance at the 70, and that has held firm, pushed back, and oil is weakening a little bit. We'll see what happens. What we've had is quite clearly on the chart is we had a higher high. We have now had a higher low. We need another higher high, which means we need to get it a weekly close above 77 would really get folks excited at this point in time. So now I want to talk around Bitcoin Treasury companies. And what are they? The most famous known is, of course, Strategy. It used to be MicroStrategy. It's now just called Strategy. And the idea is that you hold Bitcoin in your treasury, you basically in your balance sheet, and that's the reasoning for your company. There are, this list here, I'm at bitcointreasuries.net. MicroStrategy, or Strategy as it's called now, has just over 600,000 Bitcoin. But by my valuation, that takes you to about a 72 billion at current levels, 120,000 a coin. That is around about 72 billion, but market cap is 126. And I scratch my head. Why am I going to go and almost pay a 50% premium, 100% premium on Bitcoin by buying MicroStrategy? Now, I get MicroStrategy's strategy, or Strategy's strategy. What do? They hold Bitcoin. They're at a premium to the assets that they hold, so they can go and sell shares. Nice and simple. Sell shares into the market, take that money, because for the share, you sell a share and you get more than a Bitcoin value, and you go and you buy some more Bitcoins. Nice and simple. They issue bonds. They issue, in some cases, zero coupon bonds. They issue convertible bonds. They take that money, they go and buy Bitcoin. What I don't understand is, why am I going and buying this at a premium to the Bitcoin spot when I could go and buy Bitcoin? Nice and simple, Bitcoin. I could just go and buy it at around about $120,000 per Bitcoin at this point in time. I don't get the logic behind that. I get the financial engineering that they can pull off in terms of issuing bonds, in some case zero coupon and convertible, selling shares at premiums. But surely all of this, ultimately, the market wakes up and says, yeah, guys, this doesn't make sense. Like, why aren't I just going and buying Bitcoin? And to be clear, Strategy Inc. is pretty much, more than 50% of all the Bitcoin treasuries. We've got one in South Africa, Altvest. Altvest has got one Bitcoin on their balance sheet. But they've got other businesses too. So then it gets a little bit messy, because, yes, they've got a Bitcoin at current prices. Bitcoin's about 2.1, 2.2 million ZAR rather. But what about all their other little businesses that they've got in there as well? I get that you're trying to essentially hop onto the excitement bus, and then you can pay staff and HR, and although again, all you need is someone to go and click buy some Bitcoin, and then hopefully store it in a cold off-ledger wallet so that it is nice and safe. But I've been scratching my head. I mean, yes, I get the financial engineering, but I just don't really understand why there is this huge excitement by Bitcoin treasury companies. And notwithstanding, to be clear, Bitcoin is back at records. There's a lot happening. The White House is calling this Bitcoin Week. We've got the Genius Act going through Congress at the moment. The Genius Act refers to the idea that around stable coins and basically allowing stable coins, putting some T's and C's in place. Stable coins are those that effectively track the price of a asset, usually a US dollar. So one stable coin, $1, makes nice and easy payments, particularly cross-border. They also got a couple of other acts that are going through. One will prevent this Federal Reserve from doing a central bank digital currency. They want to say to the Federal Reserve, stay away from it. The other is to make crypto a commodity rather than a security. So it would be looked after by the Chicago Board of Commodities rather than by the Securities Exchange Commission. Lots happening, lots of excitement. On my chart, I got Bitcoin hitting $123,236 earlier today, back down at 17 odd. Do I have a Bitcoin ZAR chart? No, I do not. Maybe I want to do it. I don't know if my provider does me a Bitcoin ZAR chart. Yes, it does. There it is. Bitcoin ZARs at 2.096 million and some change. That is quite the flyer. Let's have a quick look on the Rand itself. The Rand was doing quite nicely, and then tariffs arrived last week. So we've got 30% tariffs on South Africa. They're coming on the 1st of August. Trump says this is definitely 100%. Unless not, and those are his words, not my words, notwithstanding Trump always chickens out. And that spooked the Rand a bit last week, but again, strengthening down at 1777. There's a fundamental dollar weakness. Trump is not opposed to that fundamental dollar weakness. He's talked about it. And I spoke last week when I was talking around what is the logic behind the Trump tariffs and everything else. What is he trying to achieve? And a lot of what he is trying to achieve is just good old-fashioned dollar weakness is one of them. Now, not too much dollar weakness. Let's be very clear about that. But you can see from, when he was elected, the dollar index was about 104. It went up to about 110. When he took office, it was at 108. It's been down sort of 97 and currently trading at 98. So he's getting his dollar weakness. It helps him become more competitive. A lot of countries would like some weakness if you are an exporting nation. When we see a weaker rand, it means we get more money for the commodities that we export. Of course, it means we pay more for everything that we're importing. So there are, I suppose you could say, betwixt and between. But nonetheless, that's certainly what he is looking for. And I'm going to park it there for this week. Remember, Power Hour on Monday, 5:30. 30 years of lessons in the market from myself. August, we're going to have Mishimagama Advanced Charting. November, Keelan Ngluvo, and he is going to be looking at REITs, local and offshore, because there's been some fun stuff happening in that space, and he'll get us, particularly on the offshore, what's happening, but local as well. There seems to still be some value in local REITs. Worldwide markets, powered by Standard Bank Global Markets and Shift, the Global Money app, your go-to for travel, shopping, payments, and investments in the palm of your hand, all at the cheapest Forex rates. That's it for this week. We will, as always, be back again next week. My name is Simon. A quick request, if you listened this far, please leave us a rating and a review in your podcatcher of choice. When you're in episode 639, some people have forgotten you exist, and new ratings always help. Otherwise, we'll chat next week. As always, look after yourself. If you can, look after somebody else as well. Cheers all.